This is the new Honda CR-V, and it's a little bit like the actor Tom Hardy in the way that it's more muscular and bigger in every dimension than before, to help make it more appealing to yummy mummies on the school run. Now, this is the kind of car you're probably considering if you're looking at something like a Peugeot 5008 or a Skoda Kodiaq. Right, and let's start this review by talking about this car's design. And I think it's an all right looking thing. It's definitely a Japanese car, but I like this. Look, there's no fake exhaust pipes here. They are real. On many of this car's rivals, they're not. They're just weird fake things. Now, this is a higher spec car, so you get things like the larger alloy wheels and roof bars. The lesser versions, the entry-level car doesn't have the roof bars, has 17-inch alloys. Also, it doesn't have fog lights. And as with most cars these days, as you move up the range, you get more shiny bits of trim. So, yeah, all right on the outside. How about the inside? Oh my God, what has Honda done here? Look at this fake wood here and here and here. It is vile. God, I don't know what they're thinking. The rest of the design is all right though. I like the fact you've got this leatherette effect here and here on the door tops as well. Elsewhere though, quality isn't so good, so it's all a bit scratchy here, and check this out. Wobbly centre console, that's not ideal. Then there's the layout. Generally it's quite good and intuitive. Then there's things like this, look. With the gear selector in park, it's harder to get to these climate control buttons. They haven't thought that through now, have they? I do like this though, look. Some visors nice and large, so they do block out the sun when it's getting in your eyes. And check this out. The glasses holder also doubles as a little mirror to spy on your children to make sure they're not messing about in the back. Now though, let's talk about this car's specs. The entry-level S model gets adaptive cruise control, which can keep you a safe distance from the car in front, and you can alter the distance yourself, and it has lane keeping assist to steer you to keep you safely in lane. It also has auto emergency braking and an SOS function, so if you have an accident, it'll automatically call the ambulance. And the S also has automatic headlights. The SE gets a 7-inch touchscreen with built-in sat-nav rather than the horrible entry-level system. Look at that, it's awful. There's also front and rear parking sensors and a reversing camera. And then there's dual zone climate control, so the driver and passenger don't have to argue over the temperature. However, you should pay extra to move up to this SR model because it's the pick of the range, and it adds things like LED fog lamps, blind spot monitoring, and the all-important leather interior, darling. At the top of the range is the EX, and it adds some things you don't really need, like a heads-up display, a panoramic glass roof, and an automated tailgate, if you find it too difficult to do that. Now let's continue this review by talking about the car's infotainment system, because it is a real weak point. I quite like the way it's mounted, however the screen is quite small, so there's a lot of bezel. It's confusing as heck to use, an absolute nightmare actually, really not very good at all. You're better off using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Yeah, this is one of the worst systems out there. Now you do get a digital driver's display, but once again, it's not very good. You can't configure it for lots of different views like you can in other cars. What I can't fault though is this car's driving position. Whether you're big or small, you'll be able to get comfy in this car. Also, I like the fact that the backrest isn't on a ratchet like in many others, it just moves with your back. Brilliant. So too, door bins, nice and large. A 1.5 litre bottle fits in there. You've got space for a coffee cup down there. There's other storage areas there for your phone. More storage under here. And look at this. This is removable, though God only knows why. And the glove box, that's not so good, though. You do have a little bit of extra storage down here. In terms of connectivity, there's a 12-volt power socket there, and in here you have another one and 2 USBs and an HDMI connection for some reason. Anyway, let's move on to the back seats. So, I like this. The rear doors open very, very wide. Makes it super easy to climb into the back. It's also going to make it easy to put a child seat in the back here, and I like this. The Isofix covers are easy to get to. Actually fitting a baby seat in the CR-V is okay, but it depends on the baby seat. If you have a larger rear-facing seat, then you do have to push the front passenger seat quite a way forward to be able to get it in, almost to the point of it being uncomfortable. If you fit 2 child seats side by side, there's very little room in between them. Not enough room really for an adult to sit there comfortably for any length of time. As for space for adults, look, you can see I've got absolutely loads of room. This is the 7-seater version of the CR-V. And in this car, you can slide and recline the rear seats. They're fixed in the 5-seater version. Generally, headroom is really good, so is knee room. And there's pretty much a flat floor, so there's plenty of space for everyone's feet if you need to carry 3 in the back at once. The only problem is that this middle seat is a little bit of a perch and it's not that comfy. Also, while the body is quite wide, the people on the outer seats are pushed towards the side so their heads can touch the roof line a bit. It's a bit worse on this 7-seater version because this middle seat is a bit raised up. It's a bit lower in the 5-seater version, FYI. We've got some decent storage down here, look. There's USB connectivity there as well, which is nice. What's not so nice though is this, there's no through loading. It's annoying, though there are a couple of cup holders there. Now then, let's move on to the back seats. So, now I don't like this. To do so, you have to fold that down and then really yank on this. No, there we go, see? To flip this forward, which is a bit of an arse. Luckily, you can do it both ways around. Okay, so it's a little bit tight back here. Headroom isn't great, but I can just about get away with it. And it is possible to have an adult in front of you and you still sit behind in this car, but foot space is really, really tight. Right, now let's check out the boot. See, this thing is such a faff. Get in and out. Right, I've got to put it back now so I can show you the boot space. And yes, faffage, more faffage, and you're going to get bored. I'm getting bored. Now the first thing I want to show you is that in 7-seater guys, you think, oh my gosh, I might be able to, bear with me, fit a suitcase in there. Look at that. But no, it's not possible. Now there are some weird quirks about this boot. For instance, when I fold down the seat backs to go to 5-seater mode, you then have this ridge here. So Honda have come up with a solution of this. You raise this section up, if I can. Honestly, this car does my head in at times. Right, and then, why can't I do this? Am I stupid? I blame Honda's engineers. And then you raise this up, and so it kind of helps get rid of the ridge, sort of. Now, there's some underfloor storage here, but there's not much, and now it's difficult to get, and you've got this weird area here. It's not very well thought out. Then, when I fold down the middle seats, I have to lean all the way in, because there's no levers here in the back, and annoyingly, when you fold the seat back down, it can accidentally slide forward, so you end up with these big gaps for things to drop into. Yeah, again, you don't get that with a 5-seater version with its fixed chair, so yeah. Anyway, let me explain to you how much stuff you can fit in this car's boot in its various configurations. In 2-seater mode, with all the rear seats folded, you'll be able to fit in 3 large boxes along with 10 small ones. You'll also be able to add 1 large and 1 small suitcase, as well as a soft bag. You can also add a set of golf clubs and a foldable pram, but only if you remove that adjustable shelf. Fitting a bike in is of course easy, and you can do it with both wheels attached. In 5-seat mode, there's space for 1 large suitcase, 2 small ones, a set of golf clubs, a folded pram and a soft bag. With all 7 seats in place, there really isn't that much room. All you can fit is 2 small suitcases and a soft bag. There's not room for anything else at all. Now then, it's time for the CarWow 5 annoying things about this car. While the normal version of the CR-V can tow a trailer of up to 2 tons, the hybrid can only tow one of 750 kilos. This car doesn't come with any form of load cover, which is annoying if you want to keep things out of sight in the boot. So you might have to improvise like this. And in case you're wondering, I stole this from a Hyundai Santa Fe. These optional side running boards are utterly pointless because the car's not high enough to warrant stepping up and using them, so you end up just bashing your shins on them and then getting your trousers all dirty as you get into the car. The pop-up cup holder solution for the rearmost seats isn't that great because any sudden movement and oh no, spilled water everywhere. The back windows don't go all the way down, so it's a bit uncomfortable if you want to just rest your arm like that. It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car. The car's structure has been designed in such a way that if you have a frontal impact, it can transmit all the force of the crash to the back of the car, so that energy is dissipated of the entire vehicle. According to Honda, this is the most aerodynamic car of its kind. It has special grille which shuts when you don't need the engine cooling to reduce drag. It also has special underbody protection which smooths the airflow underneath the car as well. A special microphone fitted inside the cabin picks up the ambient noise and it feeds that into the car's noise cancelling software, which then plays out an opposite sound through the speakers to try and stop any kind of droning sounds, although it doesn't seem to be able to stop me droning on. The all-wheel drive version of the CR-V can send up to 60% of the engine's power to the rear wheels for faster getaways from a standing start. Also, this new version of the car is 35mm higher off the ground than the old version for slightly better off-road capability. The automatic gearbox works in conjunction with the satellite navigation, so it knows when you're going to be slowing down for a junction or a bend, and it'll actually simulate changing down a gear, so you use engine braking to give you a bit more stability and help save fuel. If you want a diesel version of the CR-V, then bad luck, you can't get one. There is, however, a hybrid with a 2-litre petrol-electric powertrain, and that's a self-charging hybrid, and it can do 0 to 60 in around 9 seconds and should give decent economy. The other choice is a 1.5-litre petrol turbo engine, which is what this car has, and you can have it with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and the all-wheel drive version is available with an automatic gearbox, and that's what this car has. This CR-V is pretty good to drive in town. You get a great view forward. These pillars are quite thin, so they don't create much of a blind spot, and you get a good view out the back window as well, so that's great when you're parking, as is the light steering. The brakes are sharp, but they're not grabby, and the automatic gearbox helps for just coasting around. The best bit though is the suspension. It's really, really smooth and comfortable over bumps. I like that about this car. Out on the motorway, this CR-V isn't quite good enough. Now, while I like the seats and they're fairly comfortable, you do get a bit more road noise and wind noise than in similar SUVs, and that can be a bit tiring after a while. And then there's the engine, this 1.5-litre petrol, when combined with the automatic gearbox. So I'm going to accelerate now from 50 miles an hour, and it responds all right, but what a racket that is! So much for the noise cancelling software. This is quite a noisy car to travel in. It's not good doing that either, because then you ruin the car's fuel economy. In fact, over quite a distance, I've only averaged 26 miles per gallon out of this thing. Oh dear. Now, you don't expect large SUVs such as this to put a smile on your face on a twisty road particularly, but they should be able to handle securely enough, and this does that. It's just that it does lean quite a bit in the bends and never feels as sharp as something like a Peugeot 5008. It's a little bit more sporty to drive if you want that from your 7-seater SUV. So then, what's my final verdict on the Honda CR-V? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it, or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should consider the CR-V. It's a decent enough family car. It's just that there's quite a few similar SUVs out there that are just better.